Hello, cats. I was reading an article and it mentioned 3 reasons why Pope could win the NCAA tournament. Let's analyze this news. A title would be insane, and BBN could celebrate wildly. Let's go. Given the characteristics of this roster, there are concrete reasons to believe that Kentucky can not only dream of, but actually win the national title. The team's depth, the presence of star players, and the quality of the point guard are 3 pillars that make this team a force to be reckoned with and feared. The depth of the roster is, without a doubt, the Wildcats' greatest asset this season. Coach Mark Pope has at his disposal a group as versatile as it is talented, capable of facing any adversity the tournament may present. Injuries have been a recurring problem for Kentucky in recent years, but that seems to be a thing of the past. With 2 high-level players at each position, the Wildcats have unparalleled security. This depth not only ensures the team can maintain a high pace throughout matches, but also allows Pope to adjust tactics and strategies as the game progresses. In college basketball, where the schedule is tight and decisive matches are played back-to-back, having rested players ready to go can be the difference between an early exit and a winning campaign. In this regard, Kentucky is light years ahead of its rivals. But depth alone doesn't guarantee victories. It's necessary to have players who can shine in decisive moments. And this is another great strength of the Wildcats, their star athletes. Otega Owa is the name that immediately comes to mind when thinking about on-court leadership. His game-winning ability and consistency make him a legitimate candidate for SEC Player of the Year and put him in the conversation for All-American honors. However, Owa is not alone. Jaden Quaintance, despite returning from an ACL injury, promises to be a defensive wall between the sticks. Once recovered, he will be one of the most dominant centers in the country, capable of intimidating any opposing offense. Furthermore, Jalen Lowe, the point guard who has already turned heads in summer workouts, demonstrates stellar potential that could surprise even the most skeptical. Best of all, these players aren't egocentric. They understand the value of teamwork and know that individual success is intrinsically linked to collective success. This selfless mentality is a differentiator few teams can match. The Wildcats' point guard play is another reason for optimism. In college basketball, especially during March Madness, the adage point guard wins in March has never been truer. And Kentucky is well served in that department. Owa, in addition to his skills as a complete player, is a lethal point guard, capable of creating opportunities for himself or his teammates in critical situations. Jalen Lowe, although questioned by some analysts upon his arrival, has already proven he possesses the mindset and tools necessary to thrive on such a competitive stage. Furthermore, names like Denzel Aberdeen, Jasper Johnson, and Colin Chandler add even more depth and versatility to the Wildcats' perimeter. This combination of talent and experience ensures that Kentucky always has reliable options to carry the team, whether in quick transitions or in tight moments. Of course, the road to the title will not be easy. However, Mark Pope's Kentucky appears prepared to face any challenge that lies ahead. With a deep roster, star players who know how to work as a team, and a point guard game that promises to be one of the best in the tournament, the Wildcats have every potential to lift the trophy at the end of the season. It's not just about individual talent, but how these pieces fit together perfectly under Pope, a coach who understands the importance of maximizing the potential of his group. Let's move forward. Expectations in Lexington are high, and the hottest discussion right now revolves around one question. How many players from this stellar group will be able to average double-digit points? Based on last season's performance and this year's projections, the outlook is promising and the optimism surrounding the team is contagious. Last season, Kentucky already demonstrated its offensive prowess with 6 players averaging double-digit points. an impressive feat that placed the Wildcats among the most balanced teams in the country. For 2025 to 26, forecasts suggest the team has what it takes to maintain or even surpass this standard. The trio of Ortega, Owa, Jalen Lowe, and Jaden Quaintance is seen as the backbone of the offense. These three players, considered the top talents on a roster, are virtually guaranteed to average double-digit points, with Owa and Lowe projected to surpass 15 points per game. The scoring ability of these players, combined with their leadership on the court, promises to be the engine of a dynamic and difficult-to-contain offense. Besides this core, other players emerge with great potential to contribute significantly to the scoring. Denzel Aberdeen and Cam Williams are among the players with a good chance of reaching double-digit scoring averages, bringing energy and consistency to Pope's offensive system. Andrea Jelavic and Jasper Johnson also appear to be strong candidates, with skills that can surprise opposing defenses. These athletes, with their versatility and playmaking ability, reinforce the idea that Kentucky doesn't rely on just one or two stars, but on a cohesive and talented collective. On the other hand, players like Colin Chandler, Trent Noah, Emo Diabate, Brandon Garrison, and Malachi Moreno are seen as less likely to reach the 10-point-per-game mark, but that doesn't diminish their value. Diabate, for example, is projected to average close to 8 points, which is still a solid contribution, especially considering his role in other areas of the game, such as defense and rebounding. Chandler and Noah, if they find their shooting rhythm off the bench, could even surprise, but for now, their chances are considered more remote. This depth on the roster is one of the Wildcats' greatest assets. Even players with secondary roles have the quality to impact games. The current forecast points to 5 players averaging double digits: Owa, Lowe, Quaintance, Aberdeen, and Williams. However, players like Johnson, Jelavic, and Diabate should fall very close to that mark, which only reinforces the team's offensive strength. What makes this group special is the ability of virtually every player on the court to score at a high level, ensuring that Kentucky's offense is fluid and multifaceted. Unlike teams that rely on one or two scorers, Mark Pope's Wildcats have the advantage of being unpredictable, with multiple options to exploit opposing defenses. Another factor fueling optimism is the expected development of Jalen Lowe. Many analysts believe he will see a significant leap in his offensive production, potentially establishing himself as one of the team's leading scorers alongside Owa. This duo, with their playmaking and efficient shooting ability, should lead the attack, but without overshadowing the collective contribution. Their work in assembling the roster and implementing a dynamic style of play has been widely praised, and the results promise to show on the court. The Wildcats' offense, therefore, shouldn't be a problem. The combination of individual talent, depth, and Pope's well-designed strategy creates a scenario where Kentucky can compete with any opponent. The ability to distribute scoring among multiple players makes the team less vulnerable to defensive strategies focused on neutralizing a single star. The squad assembled by Mark Pope reflects his vision as a coach, a balanced, talented team prepared to face the challenges of the NCAA. The Kentucky-Louisville college basketball rivalry is one of the most traditional and fierce in the sport, but the scheduling of the matchup for November 11th this season marks a new chapter in the history of this competition. While many fans would have preferred to watch the Classic on its traditional December date, moving the matchup to the start of the season brings with it exciting potential for the sport, as highlighted by Louisville coach Pat Kelsey. However, what's truly striking at this moment is how superior the Kentucky Wildcats have proven to be, not just to their arch-rival. Pope has a roster that combines depth, talent, and experience. While Louisville is still trying to find its identity under Kelsey, Kentucky is already demonstrating a level of maturity and consistency that few teams can match. Last year's 93-85 victory at Rupp Arena was just a glimpse of what's to come. The game demonstrated that, even in a transitional and rebuilding environment, the Wildcats have the resources to overcome any opponent. And this is a direct reflection of Pope's work, as he has made strategic hires and molded a cohesive group capable of competing at the highest level. The weight of Pope's work extends beyond victories on the court. He has built a team that not only seeks a title, but also reaffirms Kentucky's historic dominance in college basketball. With players like Otega, Oa leading the charge and promising youngsters gaining traction, the team demonstrates a versatility rarely seen in other programs. Furthermore, savvy transfers like Noah Waterman and Ali Khalifa, who previously played under Kelsey at Louisville, are examples of how Pope has taken full advantage of the transfer market to strengthen the roster. These decisions reflect not only tactical vision, but also a deep understanding of what it means to wear the powder blue of Kentucky. Meanwhile, Kelsey faces the challenge of rebuilding Louisville after years of instability. While he made significant strides in his first season, the difference between the two programs is evident. Kentucky not only boasts a more talented roster, but also a support structure that allows its players to thrive. This is evident when observing how Pope has managed the schedule, ensuring his players are prepared to face any opponent, regardless of the time of year. While the early matchup against Louisville can be seen as a trial by fire for both teams, the Wildcats certainly arrived better prepared. Kelsey publicly acknowledged that the November 11th date was not ideal, but also saw the positive side: the opportunity to give college basketball an early boost in a season dominated by football. While this perspective is valid, it's hard to ignore that Kentucky enters this game with a considerable advantage. The Wildcats' roster is deeper, their stars shine brighter, and the competitive mentality instilled by Pope makes all the difference. For Louisville, the matchup will be a chance to test their strengths against one of the best teams in the country. But for Kentucky, it's another opportunity to prove they're ready to dominate the season. The Kentucky-Louisville matchup promises to be a spectacle in itself, even if it comes sooner than expected. The rivalry, now renewed under Pope and Kelsey, is poised to become even more heated in the coming years. But for now, the balance seems to be tilted in the Wildcats' favor. With a superior roster, a visionary coach, and a winning mentality, Kentucky is not only poised to win this game, but also to lead college basketball toward a bright future. As Pope said, iron sharpens iron. And in this case, Kentucky is sharpening its blade to cut its way to the top. And in football, the latest news to excite fans is the battle for promising young defensive lineman Ben Duncombe from Texas, whose skill has attracted the attention of elite programs across the country. And among those eyes shines the legendary figure of Warren Sapp, now in Colorado, trying to lure the Kentucky-bound talent to the Boulder Fields. Ben Duncombe, a three-star prospect with the potential for much more, chose Kentucky in June, a moment that rekindled BBN's pride. His decision was no small one. Coming from Texas, where football is practically a religion, Duncombe saw something special in Lexington. He speaks enthusiastically about the love Stoops' staff showed him and his family during his official visit. "They really went above and beyond for me," the young man told Rivals, with the sincerity of someone who's found a home. And it's not hard to understand why Kentucky won his heart. Under Stoops, the program has built a culture of resilience and opportunity, where lesser-known players find niche. The SEC, with its brutal intensity, is a stage where Duncombe sees not only a chance to play early, but also to make his mark. But the world of college football is unforgiving and Duncombe's commitment to the Wildcats has not gone unnoticed. On the other side of the country, Colorado, under the charismatic leadership of Deion Sanders, entered the fray with a major asset, Warren Sapp. Yes, the same Sapp who dominated the trenches in the NFL, racking up 96.5 sacks and a Super Bowl ring with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, as the Buffalo's pass rush coordinator, Sapp is not just a coach, but a living legend who lends his charisma and expertise to recruiting. He reached out to Duncombe, and conversations have been frequent. Coach Sapp is definitely a great coach and one of the best to ever play the game, said Duncombe, impressed by the attention he's received. Still, there's something inspiring about Duncombe's approach. Even with the pressure from renowned programs, he reaffirms his happiness with Kentucky. "My relationships are great at Kentucky," he declared, highlighting the connection he's formed with the coaching staff and the welcoming environment in Lexington. This is the kind of loyalty Mark Stoops has cultivated over the years. Since taking over in 2013, Stoops has transformed the program into a destination, not just a waypoint. He took a team accustomed to playing second fiddle in the SEC and led it to consistent seasons, with bowl game victories and moments of glory against historic rivals. The coaching staff will have to remain vigilant to retain Duncombe, especially with a name like Warren Sapp on the other side of the table. But there are reasons for optimism. The Kentucky program is no longer an underdog surviving solely on prospects. It's a team that delivers results, plays with intensity, and offers young men like Duncombe the chance to become protagonists in one of the toughest conferences in the country. With his passionate fans and unmistakable energy at Kroger Field, it also plays into his hands. For every Sapp call, there's a Kentucky success story. Players like Josh Allen, who went from underrated prospect to NFL star, are living examples of what Stoops can offer. Mark Stoops has already proven he can navigate these turbulent waters, and the program he's built is more than capable of competing with the Giants. Let's see now. Comment your thoughts.